The night I got promoted should have been the happiest night of my life. But happiness is strange, it never arrives alone. It always brings shadow. When the email came, I was still in the office, surrounded by flickering tube lights, empty coffee cups, and the dull hum of air conditioning. Everyone else had left hours ago. The building felt too quiet, like it was holding its breath with me. Congratulations, Myra. Effective immediately, we are promoting you to data systems lead. I read it twice. 3 times. My hands were cold, my throat tight, my eyes stinging with something I couldn't name. This was everything I worked for: years of late-night shifts, hostel ceilings leaking on my textbooks, surviving on instant noodles, covering rent by taking freelance work at 3 a.m., and pretending exhaustion was ambition. But the moment felt unreal, almost fragile. I closed my laptop gently, as if the promotion would vanish if I moved too fast. I didn't even smile. I just leaned back, pressing my head against the wall behind me. Hira found me like that. She walked in with her usual whirlwind of energy and messy ponytail. Myra, you're still here? Oh, wait. Why do you look like someone just told you your future and your past at the same time? I didn't even speak. I just showed her the email. She screamed, loud enough to wake any ghost hiding in the office. She hugged me so tightly my ribs felt like cracking. You did it. Myra, you actually did it. Let's get chai right now, no discussion. Let's go. Her enthusiasm was warm, real, exactly what I needed. But the universe didn't like seeing me happy for too long. Because while we were walking to the tea stall outside, while the world smelled of cardamom and hot milk, my phone rang. A number I hadn't seen in 3 years. Amy, I stopped walking, stopped breathing. The honking cars, the streetlights, the warmth of the night, it all faded. Myra, Hira asked softly, are you okay? I didn't answer. I just stared at the screen like it might explode. My mother didn't call. She demanded. She judged. She cried, but she didn't call. Not in 3 years. Not when I moved out. Not when I was sick. Not when I was hospitalized with a severe infection. 3 years of silence. And now, suddenly, calling, I let it ring. But she called again. And again. Just pick it up, Hira whispered. I did. Her voice came through immediately, too sugary to be genuine. Myra Beta, congratulations. I froze. How did you? We heard everything. Your promotion, your new salary. We are so proud. Come home tomorrow, it's important. Her tone wasn't pride. It was urgency, need, hunger. My heart sank. Something was wrong, very wrong. I didn't sleep that night. My mind kept replaying her voice, the strange sweetness in it, the way she said important, like a warning disguised as an invitation. By morning, I had convinced myself it was nothing. But when I reached my parents' street, when I stood outside the old building with peeling paint and rusted balconies, that old familiar dread crawled up my spine. The air felt heavier here, denser, like it carried memories I tried to bury. I walked up the stairs slowly. My footsteps echoed. The door was already open, and that's when I saw it. The living room wasn't the living room I remembered. New curtains, expensive lamps, fancy rug, brand new appliances. But my parents couldn't afford this. Not even close. My mother was standing near the dining table wearing a new kurta. My father sat stiffly on the sofa as if preparing for an important meeting. And beside them, in a chair I had never seen before, sat a woman with red lipstick and gold bangles stacked up her arms. Samra Auntie, my mother's distant cousin. A woman rumored to be resourceful and financially smart, which usually meant something shady. She smiled at me like she was greeting a new investment. Myra, she said softly, finally what? My father cleared his throat. Myra, sit. Everything in me screamed to turn around and leave, but I sat. Because I needed to know, what trap had I walked into? Dinner smelled nice, too fancy, too expensive. My mother wasn't a bad cook, but she didn't make meals like this unless she needed something. As we sat at the table, my mother kept smiling tight, strained, rehearsed. My father watched me like he was analyzing a spreadsheet instead of his daughter. And Samra kept stirring her tea, waiting for the right moment to strike. I ate slowly, every bite twisting my stomach. Finally, the silence broke. My father pushed his plate aside, folded his hands, and looked at me straight. Myra, you've grown so much, you've achieved things we could never imagine. A compliment. An opening move. I didn't respond. He continued. We always knew you would succeed. We always supported you. A lie? My mother nodded enthusiastically. You're earning so much now. Mashallah, we prayed for this moment. Another lie? Samra leaned forward, her bangles softly clinking. Myra, Beta, your parents need your help. There it was, the air thickened, my heart thudded. What help? I asked. My father stood up and went into his room. A minute later, he returned with a folder. Thick, overstuffed, clipped with metal. He placed it on the table in front of me. I didn't touch it, didn't speak, didn't blink. My mother gently nudged it toward me. Open it, Beta. I didn't want to, but I did. Inside were papers with my name on them. Loan agreements, credit card statements, a property lease, a business registration form, all with signatures that looked almost like mine. Almost, my blood ran cold. I didn't sign these, I said softly. Samra smiled. But you will, darling. What? My father coughed. We took a few loans using your details. You're the most stable one in the family, the only one who can pay them back easily. My hands trembled. You forged my nick, my mother snapped. It's not forging when it's for family. I stared at her, speechless. She continued. We needed it, Myra. Your father's knee surgery, my hospital bills. You never had surgery, I whispered. She didn't even blink. And what about the medical loan documents? I held up the forms. These procedures never happened. Silence. My father exhaled heavily. Myra, don't make this difficult. You earn more than all of us. It's time to contribute. Contribute? I choked. You signed my name on millions worth of debt. Samra finally leaned in. Myra, listen to me. If you don't take responsibility, it will go to court. And trust me, courts are uglier than families. I looked at her. At the confidence, at the calculation in her eyes, that's when it hit me. This wasn't an accident. This wasn't desperation. This was planned. My mother pushed the file closer. Myra signed the last page, just one signature. My vision blurred. My chest tightened. I stood up abruptly. My chair scraped the floor sharply. I'm not signing anything. My father slammed his hand on the table. You will, Samra tilted her head. Myra, darling, you're smart. You know running will make it worse. Something inside me snapped. I'm not running, I said quietly. I'm escaping. Then I walked out. And for the first time in years, my parents didn't stop me. They didn't even call my name. Because they knew something I didn't. This wasn't over. This was just the beginning. My hands were ice cold by the time I reached my apartment. It felt like I wasn't inside my body anymore. Like I was watching myself from above, seeing a girl who looked like me but wasn't me. I shut the door, locked it twice, then sank to the floor. How many loans had they taken? How many signatures had they faked? How many lies had they told? My phone buzzed. I flinched. Unknown number. Loan payment due. Contact immediately. Another message. Final warning. Property lease agreement overdue. My breathing turned shallow. Property lease, in my name, for a place I had never seen. My phone buzzed again. This time, a recorded voice message from Samra. Myra, sign the papers before things get worse. Trust me. Then another message. You can't run from this. My stomach twisted. At midnight, Hira banged on my door. When I opened it, she stared at me, eyes widening at my pale face. Myra, tell me, what happened? I broke. The words tumbled out, messy, panicked, trembling. Hira didn't gasp, she didn't judge. She didn't say, I told you so. She grabbed her phone. I know someone. My cousin is a lawyer. Get up, we're going. Zoya's office was small, cluttered, dimly lit, but she felt like the kind of person who could walk into a burning building and walk out untouched. She barely looked at me and said, Start talking. I did, every ugly detail. When I finished, she tapped her pen twice on the desk. Then she looked at me for the first time properly. Myra, your parents didn't forge documents out of desperation. I swallowed. Then why? Because you were their best financial target, and because someone helped them. My heart skipped. Who? She slid a file toward me. A case from 2 years ago. The name on it made my blood freeze. Nimra Rehan, my brother's ex-wife. I whispered. I thought she left the family. They said she was irresponsible and stole money. Zoya shook her head. She didn't steal anything. They used her identity, just like they used yours. A cold shiver ran down my spine. So my family? Yes, they've done this before. And then she said something I will never forget. Myra, your family is not financially struggling. They are financially predatory. I felt my throat tighten. How much do I owe? I whispered. Zoya opened the file. 4 loans, 4 agreements, 4 signatures, 4,700,000 PKR. I covered my mouth. Zoya didn't soften her tone. You need to fight back now, before they destroy your career, your credit score, your legal standing, and your life. I wiped my tears. What do I need to do? She slid a blank paper toward me. Write everything you remember. Every detail, every lie. I picked up the pen, my hand shook, but I wrote. And the entire time, Zoya watched me, not with judgment, but with the calm of someone who had seen too many girls like me. Too many daughters sacrificed for family. The next morning, Zoya called me urgently. Myra, you need to come in, we have a problem. My heart dropped. When I arrived, she pulled out 3 new documents, my NIC copy, my employment letter, my digital signature. All forged, all perfect replicas, and all used yesterday to file a claim that I agreed to repay the loans. I gasped. They're claiming I approved the debts? Zoya nodded slowly. Yes. My legs felt weak. They're building a case against you, and it's moving fast. A sudden knock at her door interrupted us. The door opened, and standing there was a woman I hadn't seen in years. Nimra, my brother's ex-wife. She looked thinner, tired, like someone who had been fighting silent wars for too long. She walked in without hesitation. You're Myra? She asked softly. I nodded. She sat in front of me, eyes glistening. They ruined my life, she said. And they're trying to ruin yours. I swallowed. You escaped. She gave a small, sad smile. No one escapes fully. The impact stays, but you can protect yourself. I didn't have anyone. You do. Her hand reached for mine. Myra, listen to me carefully. Your family didn't just betray you. They planned this, and if you don't fight back now, they will win. Her words weren't dramatic. They were factual, raw, true. Zoya cleared her throat. Ladies, we need to strategize. She laid out a plan. 1. Collect CCTV footage from every loan office. 2. Compare thumbprints. 3. Analyze handwriting. 4. Retrieve call logs. 5. Get statements from loan officers who met my parents. 6. Summon Nimra as a witness for past patterns. 7. Investigate Samra's financial activity. 8. File a counter-report. My heartbeat quickened. This was war. A war I never wanted. A war I was forced into. Zoya closed the folder with a firm snap. Myra, are you ready? I didn't answer immediately. I thought of my mother's rehearsed smile, my father's calm manipulation, Rihin's guilt-filled eyes, Samra's confident assurance that I would sign. Then I thought of the girl I used to be, broken, scared, quiet. I inhaled slowly. Yes, I said, I'm ready. Because I finally understood something. This wasn't about money. This wasn't about loans. This wasn't even about family. This was about survival. Mine, and I wasn't going down quietly. I didn't realize how hard it is to breathe until breathing became something I had to remember. That night, after meeting Nimra and hearing Zoya break down the truth like she was reading a medical report of my own injuries, I went home and stared at the ceiling until the first rays of morning crawled across my wall. I didn't feel scared, or angry, or betrayed. I felt suspended. Like I was hanging between 2 realities, one where I was still their daughter, and another where I was nothing but a resource they mined until I broke. At 9 a.m., I was back in Zoya's office. She didn't waste time. She shoved a file across the desk. Today we begin. Begin what? Stopping a storm that had already started, undermining a trap built for years, but I nodded anyway. We drove to the first loan office in Anarkali. The receptionist gave us a confused look. Zoya flashed her black lawyer ID card like she was showing a weapon. We need the CCTV footage from last year. Your branch opening day, all hours. The receptionist stuttered. Ma'am, that's a lot of data. We can't just... Yes, you can, Zoya said. And you will, or I'll see you in court for obstruction. Her tone could melt metal. 20 minutes later, we were in a back room with a dusty monitor. A staff member scrolled through footage, hour by hour. My stomach twisted with every passing minute. Then there he was, my father, wearing the same gray shirt he wore every Friday, carrying a folder I immediately recognized, walking confidently to the loan desk. Zoya leaned in. Zoom in. The footage pixelated as the tech zoomed, but we didn't need clarity. We saw enough. He sat at the desk, opened my folder, took out what looked like my NIC copy, pointed at my signature, nodded. My throat went dry. Zoya clicked her tongue. Got you. The staff member rewound. Another angle, another clip. My father putting his thumb on the biometric machine. Not mine, his. Myra, Zoya said quietly, this will destroy their lies. Destroy? The word felt too big, too heavy. I didn't want to destroy anyone. I just wanted to breathe. But destruction comes naturally when the truth finally stands up. Zoya collected the footage on a USB. We moved to the next branch, and the next, and the next. By sunset, we had footage from 6 loan centers. My father in 3. My mother in 2. Rehan in 1, shaky, guilty, sweating as he handed over a fake employment letter. We also found something worse. Something that made bile rise to my throat. A clip of Samra entering a branch, laughing and joking with a loan officer, holding a form with my name on it. Zoya paused the footage. Myra, look at her face. I did. Samra looked relaxed, practiced, professional. She'd done this before. Many times, this wasn't a one-off crime. This was a system, a cycle, a pattern. Zoya exhaled slowly. She's the core, your family is only the surface. My arms went cold, so it wasn't desperation. It wasn't hardship. It was partnership. Fraud in the name of family. A racket built on emotional manipulation. We left the last branch around 10 p.m. I felt nothing. Until my phone rang, my mother, again. This time I picked up. Her voice exploded the moment I answered. Myra, where are you? Why didn't you come home? Are you planning to disgrace us? Disgrace? I almost laughed. I stayed silent. She continued, her tone turning sharp enough to wound. Do you think you're better than us now? That job made you arrogant. You owe us. We raised you. Raised? I swallowed the bitter taste in my mouth. You didn't raise me, I said quietly. You drained me, she gasped dramatically. Listen to her talking to her own mother. I hung up, because I had spent too many years listening. Listening to guilt, manipulation, emotional blackmail disguised as parenting. That night I told Zoya, I'm ready to fight. For the first time she smiled, not kindly, but proudly, like she'd been waiting to hear those words. Myra, she said, you're not fighting them. You're fighting for yourself. And for the first time in my life, I believed that mattered. The next week moved like a fast-forwarded movie, scenes blurry, lights too bright, sounds too loud, everything happening at once. Interviews with loan officers, statements, document comparisons, handwriting analysis, digital forensics. Zoya was ruthless, efficient, unstoppable. Every day she uncovered another lie my family had built. By Wednesday we had heavy checkmark signed forms where the handwriting didn't match mine, heavy checkmark, a forged nick copy, with a different hologram heavy checkmark, biometric logs, showing my father's thumbprint heavy checkmark phone recordings of my mother confirming loans, as Myra heavy checkmark screenshots of emails sent from the fake address they created heavy checkmark CCTV, where Samra whispered instructions to loan officers, and the worst discovery. My father and Samra had registered a property under my name and rented it out, collecting rent without my knowledge. I stared at the rent receipts. You're telling me they've been receiving monthly income using MY name? Zoya nodded. For 8 months? 8 months. 8 months of strangers living in a place I'd never seen. 8 months of money going to my parents. 8 months of lies building quietly behind my back. I covered my mouth. Hira hugged me from behind. Myra, breathe, please breathe. But how do you breathe when every truth feels like drowning? Nimra visited again. This time, she brought something I didn't expect. A USB. Inside were voice notes, recordings she secretly saved when she lived with my family. Recordings of my mother asking for her bank PIN. My father coaching her on how to speak to loan officers. Samra explaining how to sound educated on calls. Recordings of betrayal. When I played one particular clip, my mother laughing as she planned their next loan in Nimra's name, my hands shook violently. Nimra touched my arm. I kept these, for a day I hoped would come, for someone who would finally listen. I looked at her, this woman my family labeled as unstable, dramatic, irresponsible, and all I saw was strength they never deserved. I hugged her, not out of pity, out of recognition. We were victims of the same storm, but she survived alone. And now she was helping me survive too. 2 days before the hearing, something unexpected happened. A knock at my door. Soft. Hesitant, I opened it. Rehan, he looked nothing like the brother I remembered. Dark circles, unshaven, hands shaking. He didn't wait for me to speak. Myra, please, I need to talk. His voice cracked. He stepped inside, sat on the floor, and buried his face in his hands. I messed up, he whispered. I messed up everything. I didn't move, didn't sit, didn't comfort him. He continued. They forced me. Samra, she threatened to expose my gambling. Amy said you wouldn't mind. Baba promised he would tell you eventually. He looked up, eyes glassy with tears. I'm sorry, such a small word, such a useless one, such a late one. I knelt down slowly. Rehan, do you understand what you did? Do you understand how easily I could lose my job, my career, my freedom? He cried silently. I didn't think, his voice broke. I didn't think they would go this far. I felt my throat tighten, because once upon a time, I didn't think they would either. I stood up. When the hearing happens, you will tell the truth. He nodded, desperate, ashamed. But whether he would actually speak against our parents, that I couldn't rely on. The night before the hearing, I didn't sleep. Zoya insisted on staying over so she could review evidence one last time. Hira brought food. Nimra brought chai. 3 women around me, 3 different lives, 3 different battles. And then there was me. A girl who had spent her entire life thinking independence meant escaping home, not defending herself from it. At 4 a.m., when everyone else was asleep, I stood near the window and watched the city lights flicker. And for the first time, I said the words out loud. I deserve better. The city didn't respond. It didn't need to. Because for once, I believed myself. The courtroom was colder than I imagined. Not physically, emotionally. My parents sat together, whispering aggressively. Samra sat 2 rows behind them, lips painted red, confidence still painted on her face. Rehan sat separately, chewing his thumbnail. I sat with Zoya, Nimra behind me, Hira beside her. My new family, not by blood, by truth. When the judge entered, the room fell quiet. My mother began crying before the hearing even started. Fake tears, practiced, manipulative. The judge looked unimpressed. He began reading the case documents. My father stood up. Your Honor, my daughter agreed to pay these loans. She's lying. Zoya didn't wait. Your Honor, permission to present evidence. Permission granted. She pushed a laptop forward and played the first CCTV clip. My father froze as the footage showed him signing documents. Not me, him. The judge raised an eyebrow. Zoya continued. One clip after another. My mother pretending to be me on a phone call. Yes, I approve this loan. Rehan handing over forged employment letters. Samra instructing my mother on what to say. My father's thumbprint on the biometric scanner. The courtroom inhaled sharply at every revelation. My parents' faces turned from superiority to confusion to panic to pure fear. Zoya wasn't done. She presented Nimra as a witness. Nimra spoke clearly, calmly, powerfully. They did the same to me. They used my NIC. They used my bank account. They took loans in my name. They blamed me when everything collapsed. I left to save myself. And now they're doing the same to Myra. My mother erupted. She's lying. She's jealous. She wants to destroy us. Judge, quiet. Zoya then called Rehan. He looked at me before walking to the stand. His lips trembled. His hands shook. Myra is telling the truth, he whispered. I signed 2 papers. I knew it was wrong. My mother gasped. Rehan, how could you? Because it's the truth, he cried. The judge took a deep breath, then delivered the verdict. All loans in my name dismissed. All signatures invalid. All agreements void. The judge ordered an investigation into identity theft, a ban on my parents taking loans, heavy fines for fraud, and mandatory financial counseling. My parents were speechless. Samra paled. My mother screamed. My father slumped. The judge ended with one line, financial abuse within families is still abuse. I didn't cry. I didn't smile. I didn't look at my parents. I simply breathed, really breathed. Like I hadn't breathed in years. The aftermath wasn't pretty. Healing never is. My parents tried calling, threatening, begging, crying, manipulating. I blocked them all. Rehan apologized again and again and again. Sometimes I answered. Sometimes I didn't. Boundaries aren't cruelty, they're survival. I moved into a new apartment, small, sunny, safe. I bought a plant. And when it didn't die in the first week, I bought another. I joined therapy and learned that family is not a justification for pain. I attended a women's support group with Nimra. We laughed about healing. We cried about years lost, but we kept showing up. Hira visited often, bringing food and gossip and warmth. Zoya became someone I respected deeply, a woman who fought for me when I couldn't fight for myself. One day, while sitting on my balcony watching the sunset paint the sky pink and gold, I realized something. I wasn't alone, I wasn't broken. I wasn't theirs to use, I was mine, entirely mine. Weeks passed, then months. And one morning I received an email from my company. Myra, your leadership nomination has been approved. You will now head the Data Integrity Division. I stared at the screen, and this time I smiled, not because my family knew, not because I needed their validation, not because it proved something, but because I had rebuilt my life from the ashes they tried to bury me under. That evening, I went to the beach with Nimra. Waves crashed, the wind tangled our hair, kids laughed in the distance. She turned to me. "You did it." I shrugged softly. "I just survived." She shook her head. "No, Myra, you lived." I looked at the horizon, the sky melting into the ocean. For the first time, my future didn't scare me. It invited me. I whispered into the wind. "I choose myself," and this time it didn't hurt, it healed.